everybody, welcome back to another video from HSTV, and in today's video, as you can see by the video title, I'm going to be giving you my top tips on how you can get into medical school in 2024. Now, if you are new to the channel and you don't know who I am, my name is Heen Shamaz. I'm a 5th year medical student here at the University of Edinburgh. So that means that I applied to medical school in 2020, the COVID year, which was a while ago, I know, but I thought that I'd give you some of my advice and my top tips on how you can strengthen your application. As we know, the competition ratios are just getting tougher and tougher each year. So I hope that you find this video useful. If you have any questions for me that pop into your head anytime you're watching this, leave them down in the comments or email me or DM me. Alright, so first of all comes your grades. Now, whether you're in the Scottish system and we're looking at your Highers or we're looking at your A-levels, you know, best case scenario, you want straight A's. I'm just going to come up and say that, okay? That will give you maximum points at whatever medical school you apply to. However, saying that, I know a lot of friends at medical schools who didn't get straight A's, but you just have to be wary about entry requirements and which university is putting a greater weighting on your grades. So you have to be a bit tactful when you apply, and that's why I'm leaving a link down below from the Medical Schools Council, which will give you all the entry requirements summarised latest for 2024, because they do change every year, so make sure you go check that out. The only other thing I'm going to say about grades is that obviously work hard at school, even though it might seem that Pythagoras' theorem is not very relevant to medicine, and in some ways it's probably not. It's more to assess how academically strong you are and if you've got that ability to cover a good amount of workload in an academic year. So it's about applying those skills that you've gained at high school into medical school, where the workload is quite a lot. So yeah, just try your best at school, and if you don't get straight A's, don't be disheartened by that, but more just be tactful about where you apply. The other thing to be aware of is obviously this video title today is how to get into a UK medical school. Now remember that, you know, a lot of people will only think about the standard route into medical school, but actually there are other ways about it as well. For example, a gateway year. Some universities will offer a foundation year or a gateway year before starting medical school to help you catch up on your grades, for example, to get that base level knowledge ready to go into medical school, and the entry requirements for that can be a bit lower actually. So look into gateway years, foundation years, see if any of your nearby universities offer that. Also remember that there is the graduate entry route as well. So it might be that actually you've done a degree and now you've changed your mind and you want to go into medicine. So remember that your degree will now count as your grades, so you can apply through the graduate entry route, which is still very competitive, by the way. It's not any less competitive. So be aware that there's the graduate entry option as well. The other option that some of you may find useful is the HCP Med programme. Now, I know at least at Edinburgh this is offered. It's called the Healthcare Professional Medicine programme. What this means that if you are already a healthcare professional, like a nurse or an NP or pharmacist or physio or anyone along those lines, you'd have to look up the specifics yourself, you can actually apply for a medicine programme at Edinburgh that's a bit more flexible for your routine and your studying schedules. So you wouldn't have to come into university every day like the first or second years would. It would be more of a flexible and a more independent learning programme for you. Nevertheless, still busy and still competitive, but it's just another option to be aware of. So, you know, long story short, explore what's available out there and don't just you know, have in your mind the standard option to go down. Okay, let's talk UKAT, everyone's favourite exam. I get questions on the UKAT year on year, and I'm going to summarise my advice into like 3 small tips. The first tip is to do UCAT practice for a good 5 to 6 weeks. Set yourself some goals. How many questions do you want to cover each day? You know, start with maybe like 50 questions a day, working your way up to maybe 200 questions a day. Again, I'm talking from my experience. You might be different depending on what your goals are. The second tip would be to use an online question bank. Now, online question banks are by far your best resource. For me, I used Medify. I'm not too sure what exactly would be best in 2024, but I have still heard good things about Medify. I think it's very similar to the real exam, and the really good thing is it helps you to track your progress, so it helps keep you motivated and highlights areas where you need improvement. I would not recommend investing in any books unless you just want to familiarize yourself with the question types. It's not the most ideal resource, so stick with your online question banks. And the third tip about UCAT that I would give you, by far the most important tip, is to practice, 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 because the actual questions in UCAT, your parents could probably do as well. They're not that difficult. However, for the UCAT, it requires speed and accuracy along with that speed. And for that, you just need to practice. So as I said, I'd say about 5 to 6 weeks of good focused practice on the UCAT is what will help you achieve nice progression and get you to a point where you're kind of fast enough and confident in yourself that you know the question types and you're able to solve them with speed. Just a very small note on UCAT courses. I'm going to talk from my experience a bit. So I myself actually offer a UCAT course as well, but that's not what I'm here to advertise. You can go check it out in the description. But what I would say is that UCAT courses on the whole are quite good for learning and familiarizing yourself with different question types, learning what the structure of UCAT is like, and perhaps somewhat techniques for each section. However, doing a UCAT course is not necessary to do very well in the UCAT. If you get the practice in and you are focusing on areas that need improvement, then you will be absolutely fine without a UCAT course as well. If you have any specific questions about that, please do just contact me. Another very important part of the application process, which is actually going to be changing from not 2024 but for 2025 applications, is the personal statement. So the personal statement at the moment is the same as it was when I was applying to medical school. So you write a 4,000 character personal statement, kind of in the name, really reflecting on your experiences and your passions and why you want to study medicine. So for this, my biggest tip would be be original. Don't just do what your friend is writing, and don't try and type something up that makes you sound really academically cool. Just be real, be yourself, and really reflect on analogies and experiences that are unique to you that will make your personal statement stand out. Think about how many applications the university is receiving. Before your personal statement or interviews, which we'll talk about in a bit, you are just a load of numbers with your grades and your UCAT score. So the personal statement is really an opportunity for you to show the universities who you are as a person. And remember, that's really important when it comes to medicine. Patients will remember you by who you are rather than your UCAT score. So in terms of what kind of things to include in your personal statement, I'd be saying your work experience and your volunteering experiences are very crucial. And this is obviously not something that you can suddenly gain overnight. I would hope that if you are quite focused on getting into medicine, you would have like a year or 2 years worth of different work experiences or volunteering experiences under your belt. That could include things like volunteering in a care home, doing work experience in a hospital or a pharmacy, shadowing doctors, nurses, physios, anyone in the MDT, to really help you get an understanding of what medicine is like. But in your personal statement and your interviews in particular, you really want to focus on certain situations that you've been put in where your skills have been put to the test, really looking to reflect on those experiences. Now, how do we reflect? That's a really big question, again asked a lot by students. The best way to reflect is to look at a situation that might be communicating with a patient who has dementia in a care home, for example. Quite a common scenario. I would advise you maybe pick something more exquisite. To reflect on that specific scenario, I'd be looking at, okay, so the situation is that we've got a patient who has dementia that we are communicating with. Second step would be to involve what skills you had to use, so whether that was empathy, communication skills, looking at body language, adaptability, all that kind of thing. And the third step would be how you link this to a career in medicine. Well, that's easy because medicine is full of people from lots of different backgrounds, whether that be your patients or your colleagues, and so you can really transfer those skills in that very small situation and take them onto your career in medicine. That's the sort of reflections that are good to include in a personal statement. Okay, let's chat interviews. So the interview process, you'll generally be sent an interview between November and March of your application cycle. Some people receive them earlier, some later, so please don't be anxious if you haven't received before your friends or anything. Now, with the interviews, I would actually recommend that you do some sort of a mock interview course if you can. I myself do offer one. It can be really useful to have like a medical student or a doctor in the field or somebody actually interview you, since they know about what's happening in the field. Medical school interviews are quite different to a normal job interview in that you can be asked some very strange questions where they're really looking for quite well-rounded whole answers that last like a minute, 2 minutes, which is a bit different to other interview styles. The other thing to know with interviews is obviously there's different types. So you've got the MMI, so the multiple mini interviews, where you'll be at stations. This could be assessing your communication skills. They might ask you to perform some tasks, or it could just be chatting about your passions and why you want to do medicine. So really, medicine interviews, you can have an MMI type, or you can have more of a panel style where what we imagine interviews to be like. You'll have examiners and they'll ask you questions. So it can really depend on what medical school you're applying to, but the interviews can be quite varied across the UK, and it is good to get some practice with someone. So that is the best thing I can say for interview prep. A lot of students fall into the trap of really revising very hard for interviews and prepping answers beforehand, but genuinely let me tell you that first of all, you don't want to sound robotic on your interview, but secondly, what most likely happens to people when they're put on the spot is they will come up with some sort of automated response rather than what they've actually prepped and rehearsed. So what we want is for your automated responses to showcase your skills and have lots of these different bullet points and things collected up in your head, so that regardless of what question is thrown at you, you've got the right skills and the right situations that you want to regurgitate and reflect on. So that's really what mock interview courses aim to do. They aim to equip you with those skills and scenarios so that you're ready to come up with what you need on the spot, rather than, if you've not rehearsed for something, you're blank, and that's certainly not what you want. The last point I'd say about interviews is please don't be scared of your medical school interview, although it is obviously quite nerve-wracking, and I remember that from my own experience as well. The examiners are, for the most part, quite friendly, and they know how much of a big deal this is for you. So just do go in, be yourself. Again, remember, you are just letters and numbers until they read your personal statement. If they do, some medical schools don't actually even read your personal statement now. But your personal statement in your interviews is such a crucial part of your application. It really shows the medical schools who you are. So don't take that opportunity for granted. Really showcase and be the best version of yourself if you can on the day. Alright everybody, well that is going to be the end of this video. I hope that my advice can help you to strengthen your application for this academic cycle. As I said, for specific 2024 entry requirements, please do check out the Medical Schools Council link that I mentioned in the beginning of the video in the description. If you want any personalized advice or help for lots of different things can happen to different people in their applications. So, if you are a UK-based student, I can certainly try to offer some advice and guidance if that's what you're looking for. If you want some more personalized help on any specific aspect of your application, so like your UKAT, your personal statement, or your interviews, then you can also get in touch with me directly, where we can offer some, personalized mentoring one-to-one. So that's all for today, guys. Best of luck to everyone who is applying this year. I hope it all goes well for you, and yeah, I'll see you all in my next video. Goodbye.